Hey, I got a light, boy. Hey, I got a light. Hey, I got a light, boy.
Well, hello, it's Norfolk Boy, keep eye on the Trajan, and as much as I thought I'd have loads and loads and loads of time to do this, for some reason I've been using my time doing other stuff that needed doing that I wouldn't have normally done. So I haven't really done a lot on the old railway, but I'm back on it now, and I'm going to do this here video tutorial, I'll get my words out again, tutorial of making this kind of tunnel, going through some rock. I'm going to use any old stuff I can get hold of. I'm going to do it the old-fashioned way, just build up around the area I want, and then once I've done that I might use some good old paper mache to cover that, give it shape. And I've also got one of these cutters that cut through this stuff, but this stuff is so brittle it just falls apart anyway. Yeah, I'm just going to build myself up a nice mountain here, and I thought I'd do a video of it so that if I mess up, I mean, I'm doing this, I'm not even thinking about it, I'm not even going online and looking and seeing what other people have done. I'm just going to do what I've got in my head. So if it goes wrong, it goes wrong. So I thought I'd do a kind of video of the stages of building this up. So without further ado, I'll get on. So I think I'll begin by just sticking some of this stuff in place. I put the train, or brought the train around just to make sure that I'm not going to build anything close to the train. That needs plenty of room to go through the tunnel without getting stuck on anything. That's the main thing. So a bit of little PVA glue on here, and pop it down on the floor so it doesn't all shift around, and that'll be the beginning of my mountain. Okay, so I've glued the first few bits and pieces down, and while the train's coming round, I've just glued my little entrances in place. So hopefully I've got them just about where I want them to be, but I want to make sure that nothing goes wrong when the train goes through, nothing catches, plenty of room for it to go through, and it seems okay, so that's good. Coming nice and fast around the corner there. It comes. Check this end. I think we're good. Oh yes, nicely coming through there. So that's great. I'm going to let all that dry and then move on to the next bit, building it up. So I'm just building this up as ruggedly as I can, building up around where I want everywhere to go. And of course I can change things by, you know, using a cutter or just peeling it off to give it rough edges and that kind of thing, until I get a certain kind of shape. I want to build up and build up until I can come over here. I can attach to this bit of board, so that's good. And then after that is when I can start making shapes with other materials like paper mache and all various other bits and pieces that I've got to fill in plenty of gaps and holes, until eventually it will look hopefully like a mountain, piece of rock, whatever, but it's a tunnel basically. That's what it is. So moving on. Okay, so I've now got some kind of structure, just a template, so now I can work on that and make it look a little bit more realistic, obviously, but all at the moment working well. So let that all dry off, and then go to the old paper mache routine and see if I can build up with some of that. And then I've got some super stuff that I've used before, mainly on this old model sitting up in the corner of the workshop here, or whatever you want to call it, and that's kind of spray on rock sort of effect. So I'm going to use some of that on here as well as lots of other little sort of bits and pieces to make it look realistic. But at the moment, this stage it's looking okay. Just finished the paper mache, now just listening to a bit of jazz. Nice. Okay, so this is the stage I'm at now, and I used the good old paper mache. So there we are, this was just flour and water. Took quite a while to dry actually, so at the moment it's all nice and dry now. As many sort of coats as I could give it, and now I've got some kind of rock hill, and I've tried the train and it runs through there perfectly well, so that's grand. Not too big a tunnel, so as if there's any kind of accidents within the side it, I should be able to easily get them out. So far so good. So now I'm going over to the paint. Now this is the love of it all, as you can just get any old paint. So I want some green, I want some blue for a little bit of sky before I start doing any of the tunnel, mountain, whatever you want to call it. And there's some little pots of this and that I've found lying around in the garage. Why buy stuff? I mean, I've got plenty of paint anyway, but I've got those. But the main thing that's going to make it look pretty cool is, and I'm going to have to make a little bit of an edit here while I find it. Yes, I found it, and here it is. Now this stuff does cost, but who cares, because it's good stuff. It really is good stuff, man. Know what I mean? So, you know, this is how it turns out, and it looks like rock. And I did use some of this when I was doing the rockery around the mansion that I did, the Psycho Mansion. You know, along with a few other bits and pieces. I hope to do better than that, but that kind of rocky effect on that is what I achieved with this stuff, basically. So yeah, plastic coat is what it is. It's either kind of arty, crafty stuff, you know. But anyway, that and all of this stuff and any other crap that I can find is going to make up some sort of creation on our tunnel, mountain, whatever you want to call it. So yeah, moving on to the next bit, which at the moment is painting some blue for the sky behind before I start to do anything else. So that's my next move. So I've slapped on a bit of blue at the back, I've slapped on a bit of green, and at the moment, you know, that's due for the base. So the next thing I think is to start to tidy up around the tunnel edges here by getting some stuff to fill in down the sides there. Then get these painted the colour I actually want them, which will probably be grey, but you know, with a few bits and pieces thrown in to sort of make it look more weathered. And then we'll move on to the next stage of making the mountain look like a mountain. Anyway, at the moment, that's as far as I've got. Slapping on a bit of paint, but getting there, looking good, not too bad. See how it dries out. Well, while doing things like this, it's always a good idea to go and look in your garage or your shed, the old place where you chuck all sorts of stuff and forget you've ever had it, all-purpose filler. Now this will be really handy for just doing around the edges and stuff because it's already mixed. So lovely, lovely, a little bit on your finger, rub it where you want it to go. Super job, so I'll move on with that. Tidied up now as much as I want to around the tunnel edges of the brick, and I'm going to let that all dry now. Let's just stick that bit down there a little bit. Dry. Oops, sorry about that. I saw a bit sticking out there, so I thought I better just make sure that it's in its place for it to dry. And then when that's dry, I can then move on to the next bit. So so far so good. I need to get some grey matte paint now to redo these mats. They had been used before, so there's a little bit of green on, a little bit of other bits of paint and that. But I want to just, you know, start again with them once it's dry and paint them the grey colour that they need to be, and then weather them a bit and make them look a bit more realistic. Once that's done, I can then move on to perhaps just masking those up a little bit once they're done, ready for when I use this other stuff to spray on, which will be like the rock kind of effect. And once I've done that, I can do some more bits and pieces. We can add some trees here and there. I'll get some more of them. Probably do down here some. Obviously, I'm going to have to do the track ballast first, so I need to get some more of that. And then once that's done, I could do it after. It doesn't really matter. But in the middle here, I'm going to get some grass going. I'm going to try out this new, well, I say new, but homemade static grass applicator, which you can find lots of people doing these on YouTube, of course. But I haven't tried it yet, so and I've got some static grass, so I will be doing some of that all around the edges as well as all the other foliage and stuff. So it's all going to be good fun. This it's just going to be building up and building up and building up to make it look as realistic as possible. Okay, so a bit of a lawnmower going outside, but still, I'm going to try some watered down glue. This being the PVA glue, obviously I just watered it down a little bit so it's watery. I'll just use a brush because I was going to use some spray on it, but I couldn't find what I was looking for, so I'm going to stipple a bit, and then I'm going to use some of this old green stuff that I've it's scatter really, but it's old scatter, been, you know, sort of left over from other jobs. I have got more scatter, but I'm just going to use it for the time being, just to try and sprinkle some sort of darker green onto this before I do anything else. So I'm going to do that right now. Right, so I've done some scatter on top there, a couple of different colours, sprayed it again on top with some more watered down glue. So I'm going to leave that now to dry for at least a day, and then we can move on to this stuff, which as you'll see when I use it, how effective it is. That's after, of course, I just mask up around here, and the same on this side, and cover the tracks. The tracks have already got a bit of paint globbed on them, so I'm going to have to get that off at some point. But yeah, cover these. Just anything that's going to get covered in this stuff, because it'll go everywhere, obviously. Yeah, so that's what I'm going to do, and then I can paint these tunnels mouths and make them look a little bit more matte grey, and also a little bit of weathering on them and that kind of thing, and then see what it looks like after that. So yeah, so far so good. Okay, so I've started spraying on the effect. So this stuff, I bought this from Wilko, I do believe. Really good stuff. As I said, it's crafting stuff, and it's a little bit finicky, but yeah, or a bit annoying, but you do have to, you know, sort of push down hard with this stuff sometimes, so you have to be a bit careful with it. But this is modelling masking tape, which doesn't really sort of stick to anything too hard, so it's easy to pull back off again. I've just put that around the mouths of each tunnel, just so that I can spray as much of this on as I like for rock effect around the edges. So, you know, just like that. Lovely. I'm not too worried about if I get a little bit on the blue there, because I can soon paint back over that. You want like the edges of the rocks more than anything. That can all stay green. Builds up and builds up, it's great. And here is nice piece of rock. I think that's pretty much it. I don't want to go too overboard with it. Just gonna get the bits. Anyway, yeah. So, you know, at the moment, that's what it's looking like now. So, you know, we've got a little bit more of a mountain grassy effect look on it. So the next stage will probably be to put some, you know, some bushes, some trees, and other bits and pieces on it that might be growing on something like that, and I'll be happy. And of course, painting the tunnel mouths decently. So I'll be doing that next. But I think it's time for me to take the masking tape off now. I think that will do for me. It's looking pretty good. So we've had a bit of a Henry Hoover. Any Hoover will do, of course. If you have got a Henry Hoover, make sure you don't suck your track up or anything else, because they're well powerful. Yeah, so far so good, you know. Not bad. I mean, I've seen better, but there you go. So the next bit, I think, is to tidy up these entrances, which will be good. And then once I've done that, I can start having a little bit of fun with putting some foliage and trees and stuff like that on. You can make your own of that. I mean, I have bought some, and I'll go through all of that. You can make your own kind of bushes out of all sorts of material and spray them different colours and that kind of thing, but it'll save time buying them, of course, like it always does. But if you haven't got a lot of money, sometimes that's a better way of doing it, I suppose, is to make up your own. But I'll go into that, but at the moment we're going to let that all dry and then move on to the next stage. So I'm just giving this a little bit of matte grey paint. This is the sort of enamel paint that I use on my, or used to use on my models that I used to make. It's great stuff. It dries off matte, so it kind of looks rather cool when it's dry. So we're going to give all that I've already done this side, all this brick work, some grey, and then, you know, later on I can add a teeny little bit of tinge of green here and there, and whatever I like to make it look a little bit weathered. But I'm going to carry on now, and yeah, there's a little bit on the side there too that I need to do. I'm just going to carry on doing all this, and same the other side, and then as you can see we're getting somewhere. It's looking good. Before I carry on, I've just done a few bits already around the tunnel mouth area, and you know, this stuff is just great. It doesn't really matter where you stick it or put it. You just try and, you know, think where would it really grow. I'll put some sort of start to grow the top of the, you know, the tunnel there and that. But no, it doesn't really matter. You can just do whatever you feel like doing. It's just a model railway as far as I'm concerned. But I suppose the more realistic you make it look, the better, I guess. But you know, I think it really does make the difference, just putting a few little bushes here, there and everywhere, and that's what I'll be doing all over, you know, as well as once I've got some more coming now, some more ballast, this stuff to run around here and then go slightly under the tunnel, and then all this can be grass and, you know, and trees and all sorts of things. And when I'm finished and done, I will show the kind of end result, or at least the result of it, kind of almost there before I move on to other things, because I tend to do things and then get a bit bored of doing that and go on to something else. You know, in the meantime, I'll put some more bushes along there, and it really has made the difference. It's just giving it that colour now and starting to bring to life a little bit more the old railway station itself. So, you know, at the moment, I don't know if I actually had that here on my last video, but I also got hold of one of these great little newspaper and sweet stands, and they're just absolutely superb. I think my wife bought me that. That's another Metcalfe, but it's a lovely little thing, that is. It really is. You know, and various little bits and pieces I've been popping around here, there and everywhere. I need to get a wall around my car park. And I also need to do some road markings on the road and finish my stalls over there, that I've only made one stall at the moment. You know, it's terrible really, isn't it? You know, I'm not getting on and doing things, and I should be. So yeah, I'm going to be moving on to other bits and pieces as well. I've got more buildings to build that are going to go over there. I've got more buildings that have got to go over there. You know, there's loads of things to do, but that's the whole point of doing model railways, is to do it as and when you want and when you please. You know, and really enjoying it, and that's what I do. So anyway, I'm going to move on with my tunnel here, and I will hopefully show a little bit of the end result when I've done. Okay, so I'm going to leave it there for this video and come back in another video when I've actually finished this here tunnel, and it actually looks like it's finished, and then you can see what the end result was. But until then, everybody take care and see you again soon.
God. Hello?